Zooba here. Today's liner note would be from a wonderful album called Music from Hollywood. This was that historic event that took place at the Hollywood Bowl on September 25th, 1963, where an extremely wonderful array of Hollywood composers gathered and conducted their own wonderful music. Alfred Newman was there, David Raxon was there, Alex North was there conducting his own music from Cleopatra. Franz Waxman, Miklos Rozsa was conducting Ben-Hur. Alfred Newman did How the West Was Won. It was just wonderful. Bernard Herrmann was there, John Green, Dmitri Tiomkin. It was just a night that I wish I could go back in time and be part of that wonderful audience in 1963 at the Hollywood Bowl, listening to all this live music from the movies, conducted live by the composers that wrote the scores. And could you just imagine? I have heard that it was recorded for CBS and broadcast live on television, but I've never been able to see a broadcast of it, or if it was ever, saved. It must be in an archive somewhere. It would be wonderful to see this. I know Ron Burbella of the FSM board did an extensive post about it and posted some programs and stuff, and I actually added to that, I believe, where the album was made from that historic night, and then there was other recordings that were also included. I think Elmer Bernstein was there as well, conducting his music from what was it? His most the western, the big western that he did, the Magnificent Seven, which appeared on another soundtrack, or not a soundtrack, but a movie music compilation with Elmer actually conducting it and it being performed. So there was a lot of music that wasn't put on the album that was also performed that night. A lot of music from television series basically was performed as well. And I think I once made a compilation of all the music that was on the program that night, because Ron Burbella supplied the program, which listed the entire contents of the performance. And so it did have a lot of movie music, but it had also a lot of television music being performed that night as well. And I remember once putting together a compilation of the entire program from different recordings to simulate that night. And anyway, tonight I would like to just read the liner notes from Music from Hollywood. This might be a long one because I've already talked for 3 minutes, so bear with me. Here we go. The wonderful Stereo 360 sound album, Music from Hollywood. The Composers Lyricist Guild of America presents Music from Hollywood. Executive Director and host John Green. Producer Red Dolph. Okay, the Composers and Lyricist Guild of America represents, in matters of collective bargaining and other contentious areas, both mundane and aesthetic, the writers of music and the words that go with it for motion pictures and television. Though on scene, songs fall under the Guild's protective wing, the larger part of the jurisdiction has to do with what is variously known as background music, underscoring dramatic music, or, heaven help us, incidental music. When, on the evening of Wednesday, September 25th, 1963, the Guild presented the first annual Music from Hollywood concert in Hollywood Bowl, Guild President David Raxon keynoted the event as follows. This is our night, when for a moment our music comes stage center. However, in a spirit of generosity, let me suggest that any writers, directors, actors, or producers in the audience are welcome to imagine as much dialogue as many sound effects as they may find necessary to drown out the unfamiliar sound. Music unobscured. Having thus put the enthusiastic audience of some 10,000 at its ease, Mr. Raxon retired to the comparative safety of backstage, leaving executive director and host John Green to face the music, the microphone, and the crowd. The first up was, well, for this album, it might not have been the first on the program tonight, but on this album was the prelude to How the West Was Won. Alfred Newman, composer and conductor, who conducted it that night. Since forsaking the Broadway musical comedy pit for the Hollywood screen in the late 20s, Alfred Newman has had the beautiful gall to win 8 Academy Award Oscars for the musical direction of musical films and for the composition of original scores for serious dramatic films. In his stirring prelude to the score of How the West Was Won, his principal subject is his own title melody. He spices it with subtle references to a vibrant American folk melody which he dearly loves, The Promised Land. The entire prelude has a real folk quality, modal, virile, and strong. Original score from How the West Was Won is available on MGM Records, 1E5, 1SE5. I guess the next on the program was Laura. David Raxon conducted. No one who saw the film Laura at the time of its original release will ever forget the impact of its brilliant and inventive score. Stand out in memory is that light, slightly out-of-tune piano, highly reverberated, speaking the theme that was to become an authentic classic in its sphere. Taken out of the film's contents and dressed for concert by its composer, it remains haunting, elusive, and unforgettable. Then we had Alex North take the stage, Cleopatra. Cleopatra's entrance into Rome from Cleopatra. Alex North, composer and conductor. During World War II, Alex North, composer of works for ballet and concert, in addition to films, worked closely with the famous psychiatrist Dr. Carl Menninger in developing psychodrama therapy and self-entertainment programs for hospital patients. What better preparation could there be for the man who was ultimately to become the musical sublimation of the greatest of all psychodramatic self-entertaining kooks of antiquity, Cleopatra. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers the musical sounds he heard on that fateful day when Cleopatra's retinue trooped from the Appian Way. But if there be one, his mind's ear no doubt recalls the very modalities, the very rhythms, the very instrumental colors which Alex North has obviously so well remembered. Let's take a break and we'll do part 2 in just a second. That's part 1 of Music from Hollywood. Be right back.